So there's a lot of talk about the boost modes, the aero modes with the active aero on the front and the rear of the new Formula One cars in 2026. But there's one area that's not talked about which could be as significant. So as part of the new regulations for this year, they're doing away with a component in the engine called the MGU-H. What is that and how is that going to affect things? So the MGU-H serves, or should I say served, two roles essentially in the harvesting of energy and the deployment of energy in a Formula One car. So firstly, it actually recovered energy from the exhaust gases coming out of the internal combustion engine. So that's the sort of G part of MGU-H, the generator part, right? It generated energy. Now, the M part of the MGU-H, the motor part, is what spun up the turbo. So to avoid turbo lag, which means when you put your foot on the accelerator, it takes a while for the turbine, right, to spin up, it actually kept that turbo spinning at a certain speed, so it was ready to go at any one time. So that was part of the MGU-H's role, is to keep that turbo spun up. Now, they did away with it for a number of reasons, mainly cost and complexity and leveling the playing field a bit for the new teams coming in. There's a lot of politics in there. There's a lot of, it doesn't really work in the real world application kind of stuff too. So that's sort of why they got rid of it. But it's a bit weird, right, that they're doing away with a piece of technology that actually generates more electricity from something that otherwise gets wasted in a system that is requiring more electrical power. However, as I said, money wins out at the end of the day. So what is the actual effect of all this? Well, of course, there's going to be so much reliance on generating electrical power and managing the battery. That's going to be such a major part of Formula One moving forward. No one's thrilled about that, but that's just a sort of inevitability. And as I mentioned, without the MGU-H, there's going to be turbo lag, right? So the teams have got to figure out how to account for that. Now, they can use torque fill. So basically, they give a bit extra boost to the drivetrain to fill in that gap before the turbo is fully spun up. So, and then it sort of trails off as the turbo comes in. They can manage that, that way. Or they can use wastegate management. They don't have the MGU-H anymore to manage the turbo, so they can control the amount of those waste gases going through the turbo to keep it at the sort of optimum speed at any one time. And then bigger picture, off track, the power unit is simplified. So it should help to level the playing field with the engine suppliers to make things a little more simple, which hopefully the teams that have less money for R&D and continual development are able to compete with the teams that just have gobloads of money.